All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Hello and welcome. It is time for round 8 of the ISRL Division 1 Championship. We are back after a week off and set and ready to go for our round 8. It's the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and we are just about set up for our sprint qualifying. Firstly, one-shot qualifying, joined by Jamie. And Jamie, how you doing today?
Got a sore throat, but we'll live with it. And yeah, it's another nice race in the Middle East with Saudi Arabia this time, as last time I was Bahrain. So it's very nice to be back. And let's see what action this long track has. It's one of the longest circuits on the calendar. In fact, I can't remember how. I think it's over 6 kilometers long, or in miles. I'm not quite sure, but yeah, one of the longest street circuits and one of the longest tracks overall, but it doesn't feel like it because it's mainly high speed and flat hard zones. That's why it's very short, as the time should be a 1 minute 26 or 7, depending if they can get it right. But like you said, it's one shot, and if people like me or you who can't really hook up a good lap on the first lap, it'll be really, really difficult. But if people could just click on immediately in this one-shot qualifying, then they should find themselves a pole. But for people who take longer to get into a groove, get into a rhythm, it might be a bit of a struggle. So who do you want to go on board with to get a lap in?
I'm on board with Carmentalist, so if that's fine with you, we can jump through.
Yep. I'm already on board with him. So turn 2 then, third gear corner, use all the curb on the left hand side there, which you did do. And now coming into turn number 4, breaking the 50 meter mark, use all of that curb there. And yeah, just carry the speed, carry the momentum, make sure you hit every single corner. A little lift off there, which he does do. Down his 6th for extra rotation. Does it down his 5th? No, he doesn't. He stays at 6 all the way throughout the section here. Now DRS enabled there, down towards turn number 13. The first set has a lot of corners, and down in this left bank, and then downhill section as well. We don't see it on TV, but in real life it is downhill, and you can see there sweeping through the corners. Gets a nice exit. It's just already retired from the session. Sadly for him, down in last place. Oh, he hits the wall at entry, but gets away with it, I believe, and he's going to hit the exit walk without of turn 60. So he actually got away with it, and hopefully he has sustained no from wind damage. If he does, it'll be light green and might affect his downforce into this next section here in this left-hander. Flick it in, down into 6th gear we go. 5th for him as we go back into 6th, using all of that curve with the exit there. Uses this for extra rotation, but looks like he was about to hit the wall again. A little bit hesitant coming through there, but gets a nice exit indeed. And let's see comments. This is still in P6, fighting with rotation for P7 as he makes his way down towards the final corner. Absolutely pivotal to get this all right. So you could undo your progress, and he goes a little bit wide there, but doesn't hit the wall. And now DRS enabled for this third DRS zone, and let's see what lap time he'll set. It's going to be a 27.5, and Giroud Visit goes quickest with a 27.0. So there is the one-shot quality done.
All right, yeah, so a very quick one-shot qualifying before we jump into the sprint race, 13 laps, and you can see Giron in the Red Bull setting that fastest lap, a 1:27 flat just about there. QVR Campbell coming close, though, a 1/10 of a second behind in P2 in the Aston Martin. Wouter and Nathan will be taking row 2, and Pease rounds out the top 5. You can see very close, very close gaps here between I'll say the top 7, top 8, all around half a second, even going down 10, P11, all within 1 second. XL Larkin not having the best of lap times, but of course, couple quick names there getting disqualified, not setting a time. We saw Justice earlier, the likes of Dan as well down there. They're going to have their work cut out for them here on this very fast street circuit. We'll see what they can do here in this sprint qualifying. Only 13 laps to work with, and we'll see how everything plays out as we head under the night sky, just a little bit cloudy. And Jamie, I gotta ask, what do you think we can expect here from this sprint qualifying?
Oh, a lot of battles, and yeah, with 13 laps, there's not much fuel on board to carry to exceed their weight. So it should be really interesting, especially with the 3 DRS. So they expect a lot of close battles here. Not a lot of DRS trades because this track is so quick, and DRS zones, there's 3 of them. So you expect the cars to be overtaken left, right, and centre down at the last corner, or will they wait to go down at turn 1 and turn 2? You don't want to continue it all the way down at turn 4 because that's when the twisty tight section of sector 1 starts to appear. So yeah, I expect a lot of battles, especially in that middle sector as well, because you get really on the back of your rival there. So there's a lot of tactics going to be involved tonight's race, and let's see then how this will play out. And people like Ben JS, Dan, Rocco, Jamian, and Justice down there. I know Justice got really strong pace, but sadly got disqualified in qualifying. But they got a chance to make up for it in this 13-lap race, and let's see how they can manage it all the way down there. Justice is on a medium compound tyres over the longest stint, but with a 13-lap race, it's just an easy soft medium, and you won't be going too long on the soft compound tyres. I mean, medium compound tyres, you'll be going on the softs immediately. So yeah, not a lot of time to make up in this 25% race, but yeah, at least they can have a second chance of trying and get their way up the pecking field and see what they can do for the actual 50% race. So they still got that chance, but it's going to be a little bit harder with the reduced laps.
Oh, definitely. I mean, with the reduced laps, I think we'll see, like you were saying, Jamie, lots of drivers maybe just going for it a little bit more, being that much more aggressive with their overtakes, with their moves. I mean, it's similar to what we saw in Coda in our last sprint qualifying, where especially in that in the sprint race, we were seeing lots of drivers they're really going for it. Maybe not typical overtaking opportunities that we'd see in the regular race, but with the limited amount of time, drivers looking to make their way up the grid, get that better starting position for the actual feature race, I guess we'll call it, the actual 50%er. We were seeing a lot more aggressive moves going into a couple corners, and I think here, especially with the amount of speed drivers can carry through so many corners, we might see that a little bit. Of course, could be bringing out safety cars as well. Hopefully not too many here around Jeddah, but we'll see how it all plays out. I'm looking top 10 all in the softs. From Luke down to XL Rocco on the mediums. Dan and Ben, though, on the soft tires as well in 15th and 16th. So keep an eye out on these two drivers to really go for it right off the start line. Have that extra grip, have that extra pace. But, Jamie, like you said, a very easy one-stop here for the sprint race. Only 13 laps. I think most will probably stick out the soft tires for a decent amount of time before pitting for the mediums. We might see some medium tire runners pit just a little bit early just to get on that soft tire compound as quick as they can. But the drivers have lined up on the grid. We are just about set for our sprint qualifying race here. Just awaiting the cue to get the 5 red lights. Here we go. Still waiting for those lights. There we go. Up to 2, 3, 4, and 5 red lights. And the lights are finally off, and we are racing here in Jeddah for our sprint qualifying. As you can see, already a little bit of moves, but it looks to be Jerome taking the lead into turn 1, hanging on to that P1. But you can see, I think it's Peas and Nathan JB having a little bit of a side-by-side battle as they approach through turn 1, turn 2, heading to the next corner. It's been sorted out. The two Ferraris, I think, having a little bit of a moment, but Ben, Jamie 1 not having a good start here, way down in last, right off the bat here. But Jerome still leading the charge. Kvyat Campbell keeping him honest, following suit, but not too much movement here over the first few corners. I thought we were going to see maybe a little bit more, but San Carmental is keeping up with Pease. Luke and Dan exchanging positions here through that sweeping left-hander. Looks like Dan gets ahead up into P13, finds himself just behind his teammate, but Luke, I think, fighting right back to him, or at least thinking about it, but having to slot behind it. Now we'll see the two Ferraris maybe go after it just a little bit. You can see Dan, I think, wants to get past his teammate of Larkin, but I think playing it safe here, it is only lap 1, so they got a little bit of a longer race and don't want to be compromising. But speaking of, I think it was Justice getting ahead of Luke, as I think Luke had a little bit of a moment through that corner, but through the first lap or so, it looks like everybody making it through relatively unscathed from what I can see here.
Dan Neising getting a really good start, getting past the McLaren immediately. In fact, Justice got a really good start from P14 to P17 to P14. Dan Neising gets past his teammate, crucially for him. They're both on opposing strategies, so they don't want to hold each other up. So he needs to capitalise on those soft compound tyres immediately, does Dan, and try and get past Rocco in the Haas. Saying that though, he just abused track limits through turn number 2, so be careful not to start more than 2 times, and it's very easy to do so around this track. But there's a good battle going on between Pease and Nathan on the first lap. Nathan tried to go down the inside into turn 1, but got a bit oh, Pease went off the track slightly there, might appear to be a warning for exceeding track limits, but Nathan then picking up, wheel spin at the exit of turn 2, made contact with Pease slightly, and allowed Carl Mentalist to slip through up into 6th place, so that allowed Carl Mentalist just to move ahead of Nathan, who's under pressure from his teammate Isa Kush, and Justice making a move on Larkin. Larkin's just lost about 2, now maybe 3 places, getting compromised at the exit of turn 13, got a bit too wide, and sadly for him, he has lost 3 places in 1 corner, so he's lost a lot of time. But bearing in mind he's on the medium compound tyres, so he might struggle anyway, as Ben JS is on the soft compound tyres. So yeah, Larkin just needs to find a rhythm immediately. But Jeroen Visser already pulling out a 1.3 second gap. That is crucial. He loves this track, does Jeroen Visser, as previous evidence has just suggested before. So he's already pulling that 1.6 second gap and not under pressure, and he can just pull away from the front. And it looks like Ben JS is about to make a move on Luke for P40 on the soft compound tyres. So let's see if he goes down the inside or around the outside, which he does do, which one of them gets later on the base. There goes Ben JS around the outside, but Luke has a better exit, and DRS is now enabled. But Ben JS then using that ERS to try and make his way past. And let's see that if he actually done it. Yes, he has the overspeed and the better grip on those soft compound tyres. He's made his way up into P14.
Yeah, meanwhile, you can see Larkin and Jamie 1 both taking a pit stop here. Looks like Larkin having to change his front wing. Jamie appears to just be a tire change on his end. So I'm not too sure what happened to Larkin, maybe connecting with the wall, as I'm sure we'll see more than once here around this circuit where there's not much runoff area. Gotta be perfect. You're saying Jeroen absolutely loving this track, as you can see 2-second gap already here on lap 3 to QVR Campbell, and that's very crucial to stay out of DRS and essentially keep in that P1 and essentially stay comfortable in that spot. QVR Campbell, meanwhile, you can see under pressure from the likes of Wouter and Nathan. We both know they can just turn it on at any moment when they so choose to. But Jeroen, speak of the devil, he takes a 3-second time penalty here. So all of a sudden, that 2-second gap maybe not as comfortable for him. He's going to have to do it a little bit more, I think, or else he might risk losing out here at the end of this race. But you can already see Wouter putting pressure right up on the back of QVR Campbell. He's going to have DRS activated here heading down the start-finish straight, and it looks to be a very easy move from the McLaren driver. And will Nathan be able to follow suit? Does not appear to be the case, just a little bit too far back. Meanwhile, Dan and Rocco, it appears, just switching positions there with the help of DRS. Dan up into 11th, Rocco down into 12th, and Justice also taking a pit stop here. I think that was just to get on a set of soft tires as soon as possible, as this seems to be the trend here for this sprint race.
I think Jeroen Visser might be losing. I don't know if he's lost his performance in terms of downforce, because he's struggling in some corners. Looks like he's taking a lot more steering input, so that's suggesting that he might have tagged the wall somewhere, because the gap was 1.9 and look at that, it's 4/10, so he must have made a mistake somewhere. Yes, by the looks of it, Jeroen Visser might have front wing damage. It may not be evident, of course, but he has light green, and sadly for him, that'll affect his downforce. So Walter then all of a sudden sees the leader in front of him can have a sniff on the victory, along with QVR Campbell, Nathan, and Pease and Commensless, who have also picked up a penalty. Commensless right behind Pease, by the way. Pease under massive pressure, but back to battle for first place. We've got Walter, QVR Campbell, Nathan has DRS on Jeroen Visser, and Walter takes the lead of this race. QVR Campbell will follow through, wasting no time behind Jeroen, because he might be suffering in the last corner due to lack of downforce, and Nathan might follow through very quickly as well. So Jeroen Visser might have to take a pit stop to change his full wing. He stays out, no, he comes into the pits, and sadly for him, his race might be ruined a little bit. QVR Campbell does turn off the DRS, suggesting he wants to go for the move later. And further back, we've got Commentalist and Nathan fighting for P4. And Commentalist, they squeeze each other. Oh, Isaac Kush hits the back of Commentalist, and Nathan gets pushed off the track as well. So you could say Nathan didn't leave enough room for Commentalist. He was entitled for some space, was Commentalist, but Nathan, he just took the racing line and suffered the consequences, sadly for him.
Yeah, and it's one of those moves that we've seen, I'll say, time and time again, both here in the F1 2021 universe, as well as, I'll say, in the real-life Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. More last year than what we saw last week, I'll say. But, of course, if you don't get that move done in Turn 1, it's very difficult to keep it alongside through Turn 2. And it's hard to fault any driver on that. I think it was just two into turn two doesn't really go all that well, and from there Isaac Kush a little bit of a just stuck at the wrong place, had nowhere to go but in the back of that car there. Hopefully he doesn't take any wing damage. Doesn't appear to be the case, as he's still very much so keeping up with Carmentalist through that section. Actually going to be going for an overtake here, and gets it done well before the corner around the outside to get up into a top four. But 2.2 seconds, he's going to have to close up to this top three now. And speaking of, Wouter leading, but no DRS. You can see QVR Campbell, I think, going to go for it down the inside. Is Nathan going to get involved here as well? Just following QVR Campbell, goes alongside, wheel to wheel there, the McLaren and the AlphaTauri, and it looks like Nathan just gets ahead to get up into second, but QVR Campbell takes the lead of this sprint race here on lap 6. We'll see if he can hang on to it for longer than just a lap here, as these three, I think, are just going to be battling it out over the course of the next few laps here up until the end of this race.
I spoke to QVR Campbell about 10 minutes just before the race, wished him good luck, and he said he doesn't feel like he could get a good result, but it's currently in P1 with no penalties so far, so he's a fantastic job. Meanwhile, P6 downwards have gone, P7 downwards have gone for a pit stop. Killer Blue, Nathan, and all that, trying to do the undercut on these guys ahead. So it'll be very interesting to see where they come out once these three make their pit stops. Can't stay out there way too long. Remember, Jaruvis's pace was mighty. He's on the back of Dan, who's also right behind Nathan, who's the DRS trade provider to all these guys. As Nathan, relentless Nathan, all over the back of QVR Campbell. Be very interesting to see when they're going to take their pit stops, as Nathan then has DRS on QVR Campbell. There's a 3-second time penalty sadly for Nathan that's hovered over him. Might lose a few positions, but could pay crucial for his race in the next one, in the 50% race. But let's see then, the last corner, will they go for the pit stop on this lap? Here's QVR Campbell. He comes into pits along with Nathan and Wouter. Wouter stays out actually, so he's going for the extra lap. And let's see. Oh, I thought Nathan hit the back of QVR Campbell in the pit stops. Hopefully there's no damage sustained to any of them. It looks like QVR Campbell did ghost at the right time, so really thankful that contact never happened. But wherever the guys could have come out there, we've got Justice on the straight. He has pitted for a brand new set of soft, medium to softs. He's just set the fastest lap, starting for P17 of course, and let's see that he comes into turn number 1 and turn number 2. There's the guys ahead, QVR Campbell and Nathan. Justice is in P4, he's right behind him. He's on the soft compound tyres, so his tyres will be fantastic at this stage of the race, so here's a potential victory on his hands from P17 on the grid.
Yeah, I mean, a very good run. Took his pit stop just a little bit earlier, 2 laps ago, so definitely can go to the end on these soft tires, and running in a great P4. We'll also have to see what his teammate Wouter can do, as he does have the lead. He does have a gap, but does still need to take a pit stop. And you can see between him and QVR Campbell around 17 seconds, but it looks to be closing ever so slightly. So not sure if that move to stay out for the extra lap is going to work out for him. We'll have to see when he does take his pit stop where he is going to come out in reference to these other drivers, but I think wanting to take advantage of that clean air for that extra lap and not just be stuck behind all this the drivers, and essentially be stuck in this big train of cars that we're seeing from what looks to be second now all the way down to well, essentially the end of the field. But you can see here, there goes Justice on around the inside of Nathan. Can't quite get the overtake done. They do still have DRS, and QVR Campbell essentially now a sitting duck as Nathan gets ahead. Wouter's in the pits. Justice gets ahead as well as he goes up into second now. But Wouter, as he's coming out down in 4th, might lose out a little bit more here. No, it was close, but we have a yellow flag. Who was that for? As it looks to be a rotation, who had a little bit of a moment here, not too sure. And that's XL Larkin out of this race, as looks like that was done in the pit lane.
Got a mighty battle going in the first sector. Jaruvisr versus Killer Blue going at it in the first sector. Jaruvisr, they both get their muscles out, as you can see there, as Killer Blue has the DRS on Jaruvisr as we go down into turn number 13. Then Killer Blue going down the inside, but Rocco is right there. He's on the soft compound tyres, so expect get better grip coming out of turn 13 than Giroud, but he backs out of it. Why is he knowing that there's no space coming into turn number 17 here? You can see he's all over the back of Killer Blue, but further up. As you can see, the last lap, Nathan backed out of QBR Campbell. We all know why he did it, but he had to be careful as well because Justice sent it in the inside, and Nathan then had to get a really good exit and pass QBR Campbell, and Justice followed through swiftly as well. But Justice is right behind Nathan then. Will Nathan back out of this? We've seen him do it before. Justice turns off the DRS, and QBR Campbell, let's see what he does there. Nathan, oh, he's so close to hit the back of Justice was QBR Campbell, as Justice just lifted off to let Nathan not have the DRS, and now Justice got DRS right behind Nathan then as we make our way onto the straight, onto lap 9 we go, and there we go, he pulls out to the left hand side, will QBR Campbell follow? Nathan's still around the outside, he has the inside of the next corner, but Justice takes the racing line, and he goes up into P1 on those soft compound tyres. There's a massive train right behind us then, behind Nathan. So yeah, lots of action going on through the field. It looks like Killer Blue is behind Giroux Visa. Yeah, so Giroux Visa managed to get past Killer Blue, and also Rocco as well. Rocco on the soft compound tyres. He'll be faster than Giroux on those better softer compound tyres.
Yeah, so I mean, I didn't quite get to see where Jerome Visser made the move, but he's up into P8, got ahead of Killer Blue. But XL Rocco, you can't count him out there on those softs. He's going to have the pace, he's going to have the grip. Just whether or not he can keep within that 1 second, as you can see, Jerome, he looks to be a driver on a mission here, chasing down the grid, looking to make up for that mistake and to minimize the damage from the mistake he made earlier on. Meanwhile, Justice, another driver on those soft tires, really making them work for him here. Already more than 1 second ahead of Nathan, and very crucially finds himself out of that DRS range for the moment. So now Nathan once again finding himself a little bit of a sitting duck as QBR Campbell gets ahead fairly easily around the inside line, but maybe calculated from Nathan. Jamie, as you were saying, we've seen him in the past do that to get DRS down the start-finish straight. Is that going to work for him here this time around as we're starting lap 10? But QBR Campbell gets enough pace on the exit there down the start-finish straight to hang on to that second. So not much movement there here in the top 4 on this lap, but we might see a little bit of that chess game start to play here with the laps dwindling down here in sprint qualifying. Drivers maybe picking and choosing their moments here to get ahead, so they don't end up just losing out on that position. But QVR Campbell looks to be showing a lot of pace through Sector 1 and closing right back up to Justice. So I'm not too sure if Justice made a bit of a mistake or if Campbell just has a lot of pace there through Sector 1 on that lap, but that 1.2 second gap down to half a second now, so Justice not sitting as comfortable as he was about a lap ago here in this same position.
It's really important that Nathan sticks with these two because he lost a lot of time in the first set, so probably because of wheel for Campbell, and he's on the pad, so it might be that difference. But yeah, he's really low on ERS. He has to be careful because he's got Walter, who's got more ERS, and Carl Mentalist as well down in P5, who's also got DRS and more ERS. As Nathan is D-rate on the straight. Bear in mind, all three of these guys have penalties, so they're racing each other for position to get as high up as the grid as they possibly can as well. Dan Nijink has got past Killer Blue. In fact, Killer Blue's got past him. It's the last corner. I think Dan Nijink tried to go around the outside, but didn't quite make it. But here comes Walter, and there goes QVR Campbell. You can see QVR Campbell backing out of that move, and Walter's going side by side with Nathan into turn 1 we go. Now into turn 2. They made it clear last time out they did this, Walter and Nathan, and they did it again. So really good racing between the two. Good respect. And Ben JS has retired from the session. Not sure if he's crashed on the straight or gone in the pit lane and retired there, but sadly for him, he'll be started down in P16 with XL Larkin in P17. Not quite sure what happened to him with loads of action going on, but sadly for him, he'll start down there in last place. So yeah, it'll be really painful for him to try and make his way up the field. But yeah, it's a really difficult track. It's fast flowing, it's easy to get penalties, and it's so easy to clip the wall around here. And yeah, I'm not surprised that loads of drivers have picked up so many penalties, but this is an interesting battle for P1. From P1 all the way down to P9, all of them's got DRS, and P9 of Rocco is on the soft compound tyres as well, so he's got no penalties. He could find himself moving up the order by 4 places by default with penalties from P6, so yeah, it could be looking to be a good one for him so far. But into the third DRS setting we go, then Justice will be under massive pressure. He has got the ERS, but just a little bit, as there's 2 laps left to go then of this race. Both McLaren sitting pretty P1 and P3, looking for a good result with Carl Mentalist down there in P5. He's also done a fantastic job as the British driver, and you can see QVR Campbell has turned off the DRS. to try and sit behind Justice and wait for the straight. I've done this plenty of times. I've raced here myself, and I've done the exact same tactics. No surprise that everybody's doing this. It's a battle for the DRS, as we saw with Leclerc and Verstappen. And you can see Justice trying to defend from QVR Campbell, who's not using the ERS, but he's got to get ahead. Because, oh, look at Carl Menzies diving down the inside of Nathan. That was a good move. If you can make it stick, they're both side by side coming out of turn 2, and Nathan just has the edge, and it's still there. Carl Menzies, but he backs out as there's yellow flags. Nathan's behind.
Gone. I just saw that with the corner of my eye. It looks like, oh no, I think it was maybe Jerome and Nathan JB getting involved. Rocco. Or I know Nathan is out, but I saw Jerome going a little bit slow. What was that?
Rocco's got no front wing. Oh, big crash! Dan Nijink has just spun into XL Rocco. Big drama going in the first sector there. XL Rocco has lost all of his wing. I'm not sure if that's due to the contact with Nathan that we saw down at turn number 1, but XL Rocco, yeah, I'm not quite sure what happened to him. At lap 12, he's losing crucial position, makes contact with his teammate, both Hassers making contact with each other. But yeah, that's a massive shame for both Hassers. They're on for a good result as Pease and Javuvas move up the pecking order. Pease looks like he's having trouble because he's got foot damage. He's going to let everybody go. So yeah, not a good race for Pease so far. But back to the battle for P1 then. Justice right behind QVR Campbell. Those soft compound tyres shouldn't be too bad. They should be still in good shape, those soft compound tyres. So here comes Justice. Is he actually going to go for it? Or is he actually going to wait? Looks like he's going to go for it. Yes, he has. He is not waiting around. He's allowed QVR Campbell to get DRS. And look at Walter and Nathan, QVR Campbell going at it as well. It's that last corner. Now we're heading on to the last lap of this race. Justice leads ahead of Campbell. Walter's in the slipstream. He's boxed in. No, he's not anymore because Justice moved to the left. They're going to go 3 wide into turn number 1. And let's see who makes it out. Walter backs out. QVR Campbell going down the inside. Justice has the outside line. Should get better exit with that soft compound tyres, which it does do, so much more traction coming out of turn 2, and even the top 3 remain how they were on the straight. It's unbelievable. Fantastic racing. Walter knows he had to back out because he can't go 3 into 1 into the first 2 corners, so he did a fantastic job of backing out there and choosing his right moments. But it is the last lap, of course, so he's going to risk it all, try and get P1. But bearing in mind, we've got the 50% race coming up, so he's probably thinking about that in the long term.
Yeah, that's the thing. It is only sprint qualifying. We've got another yellow flag. That's Killer Blue out of the session here. What happened there is he's completely facing the perpendicular to the track there. I'm not too sure where the what happened, if he just lost himself or if there was any contact there. While the battle for P1 was happening a lap ago, we saw essentially rotation. Jerome, Dan, Jamie, they were essentially 2x2 jostling out here. But as we're approaching the final sector, you can see Justice is currently in P1, but you can't count out the drivers behind here, especially with DRS. QVR Campbell closing up Wouter right up on the back of him as well as they round the final corner, though. What is the order going to look like here at the end of the sprint qualifying as they head towards the line? There's the checkered flag. It looks like it is going to be Justice who gets that pole position. QVR Campbell in second. Isaac Kush, though, you were saying that, Jamie, keeping that clean race, it pays dividends for him as he jumps up all the way to P3, going to be starting alongside Nathan on the second row of the grid. You can see Wouter Carmental is falling down P5, P6, rotation 7th, Jamie in 8th, Dan and Jerome, I think they just might have switched positions, 9th and 10th, going to be rounding out that top 10. A little unfortunate for Jerome as he did get that pole position on the one-shot qualifying, but a mistake, and I think essentially getting caught up, having to take evasive action during that accident on the penultimate lap here meant a little bit of a disappointing sprint qualifying, but very well deserved for Justice there. Driver of the day for sprint qualifying, starting from, what was it, last on the grid all the way up to P1 here. All the way up to pole. What a great drive there, really making those 13 laps work for him, even after the disappointing one-shot qualifying he had.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Fantastic race with Justice there. This track proves to be a really good racing track here in Saudi Arabia, Jeddah. So, in the Middle East as well. Always good races in the Middle East, like Bahrain, Qatar was a good one, and Saudi Arabia. So, yeah, these tracks prove to be a really good one in the night races, and yeah, fantastic job for Justice there. Just mediums and softs working really well. The alternative strategy there, and those soft compound tyres really helped at the end. You don't want to go too long in a medium compound tyres because I think another one outside the top 10 did the alternate strategy. He pitted really early. I think it was Jamie in as well. he went from mediums to softs very early and ended up finishing P9. So yeah, he didn't want to be on those mediums for too long, otherwise you don't have enough laps left at the end of the race to try and catch up on those soft compound tyres. Be very quick, of course, but like, yeah, I've got no laps left. But keep an eye on Jeroen Visser as well. Don't discount him. He's starting in P10, of course, not the best place to start, but they all get a brand new set of tyres anyway. So be very interested to see what he chooses for P10 when he goes for the alternate strategy, mediums to softs there, as it proves to be really helpful and key for Justice's race. But yeah, Jeroen's got really good pace, but he was unlucky today. Let's see if he can rectify it in the race. Good job from Nathan, QVR, Campbell, Justice, Isaac, Cush and Walter. They did a fantastic job fighting in first place, kept it nice and clean. And there were some Larry moments there. They were all fighting for DRS, of course. At that last corner, that detection point, they all want to be before it, behind another driver. We saw Leclerc, Verstappen play DRS games as well a week ago. So, yeah, expect more of that in this race.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see, like you were saying, many more DRS games moving forward here. Once we jump into the feature race, we're just going to have to get the grid set up there for the feature race, and I guess get the drivers back into the lobby for it as well. I did see Nathan leave the session, so hopefully we can get him back in sooner rather than later. But, I mean, that was a very exciting sprint qualifying. It did turn a little bit chaotic there on the penultimate lap. I think maybe some form of desperation from some drivers, maybe mistakes, drivers feeling the pressure there. But I mean, it's really going to make things exciting for the feature race, the 50% race. Once we do jump into it very shortly, once we get the grid set up and ready to go. But honestly, this has got me even more excited. Jamie, you said it yourself. Lots of exciting racing here in the Middle East. I mean, Saudi Arabia, it is the fastest street circuit on the calendar. Just in case you haven't heard that enough over the course of the last week and a bit here. I mean, you can see why. You can see how exciting it is here. I mean, battles everywhere on track. Kind of wish we had multiple POVs we could put up just to feature them all here on this stream. Because, I mean, even I think it was lap 12 or lap 11 on that sprint race, as the leaders are battling it out, it was hard to take my eyes off the middle of the field, where they're essentially 2x2 jostling for position through the quick section of sector 2. I do think we're gonna have more of that to see once we jump into the feature race. But as we're getting ready, as we're getting everything set up and ready to go, I'm gonna do the thing I hate doing, but also love doing here. Jamie, any predictions for what we can expect to see here as we jump in? Once we jump into the feature race.
I'm gonna go with 2 safety cars. Why not? Yeah, 2 safety cars will appear. Fantastic battles, probably chaos like there was in the sprint race, and a fantastic battle going for P1 as well. So yeah, that's what I'm expecting. Hopefully it'll be another good one like it's the sprint race. And it's Saudi Arabia, just a track that always, well, I say always, only been out of the calendar for a amount of time, but every time I've seen it racing Saudi Arabia, including myself being in one, it's been always fantastic and always, spice up the field a little bit. But yeah, this track in terms of driving, I don't mind it, but it's really, really difficult because the first sector I'm on a pad is a little bit difficult for me to keep consistent in that first sector. Other parts of the track is not too bad. You just got to remain focused at all times, because if you lose concentration, you can find yourself hitting the wall, the outside wall or the inside wall, depending where you are, or also invalidating your laps or exceeding track limits. You can be really careful as well. So you're going to play tactically as well, which I didn't know. Well, I did know, but I just in the heat of the moment, you don't really think about these things. So you're going to play tactically as well, and you could anticipate a safety car at some points, because I know back in last week where Sergio Perez went for his pit stop, then started for him, all went downhill when Nicholas Latifi crashed in the final corner. He ended up down in P3, but had to give the position to Carlos Sainz and P3. So yeah, you gotta make sure you're looking at the right times, because the safety car can benefit you, and also it can destroy your race, as we've seen in recent times here in Saudi Arabia, because chance of safety car is really, really high around here with the high speed corners. And yeah, the tight section as well, where drivers are battling, is easy to crash around here. So gotta be really, really careful, consistent at the same time. We'll see all the drivers readying up, so we'll get going soon.
Yeah, I think we're going to get going soon. I think we got the grid set up and ready to go, so not too much time to be wasted here between the sprint qualifying and the race. But Jamie, I love the point you're mentioning about the having to think a little tactical about the, I'll say the tire strategy here going into the feature race. You do have free choice of tires, but of course that can come to bite you, especially if we see safety cars. You used a great example of Sergio Perez last week. I mean, I've got an example myself, my own race in Division 3, actually. I went for the medium tires. First safety car came out and was perfectly fine to stick it out, but then, as I've said multiple times here on stream, safety cars breed safety cars. So then second safety car came out once the field was bunched out, and being stuck on my medium tires, I was sort of stuck in no man's land where it was still too early for the softs. Didn't really trust the hard tires, as I normally tend to not do on any track, but was essentially stuck in no man's land in terms of my strategy, which kind of hindered me a little bit. So I think it is something that drivers are going to maybe take into account here as they're figuring out what they want to do for tires. And also, one little fair warning for drivers who might have the stream open: don't forget your setups. You do not want to be stuck here running preset 3. You want to make sure you've got your setup on your car. So one more time here, drivers, if you've got the stream open, do not forget your setups, or you are not going to have a good time here around Jeddah. But as the loading is complete, drivers are going to get that tire choice, that strategy figured out. Nice clear skies here for the race. Unsurprising, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't think I've seen a wet race here, unless it's been forced into rain. Jamie, I don't know if you have, but I mean, very typically dry here in Saudi Arabia, and I think here for this race it's going to be a little bit more of the same, which I mean, I figure means that we'll just get the best racing that we can get here, and I can't complain too much out of that.
Yeah, it's always very, very hot no matter what it is. Like, even in the winter, the lowest temperature could be about 12 degrees. I'm not sure what it is in Fahrenheit if you do use those metrics, but yeah, even in winter, I'd rather be there in winter, because you know what the British weather's like in the winter. It's very, very cold. And
Yep.
yeah, in the Middle
Canada
East,
too.
it's a desert. Canada? Is it very cold in Canada? Of course it is.
Very cold, yes. In winter, very cold.
Yeah, it's also a desert. It's like Bahrain. I've never, ever seen a wet race in Bahrain. Like, it's been on the circuit since 2004, and every race we've watched there, and every race I've league raced in or commentated, I've just never seen a wet race there. Not even like a little drizzle for like a few minutes. It did drizzle a bit back in 2019 Abu Dhabi, and we've got 2 drivers disqualified already. And let's see what tyres they're on. I think they're on the medium compound tyres. Yes, they are. So those 2 drivers, Larkin and Ben JS, are not going to have a good time because they've been disqualified early doors in this formation lap, and they're going to suffer with cold tyres in the first 3 corners, especially that first sector as well. So they've got to be really careful not to push too hard in that first sector, because they'll lose the grip and probably end up facing the wall. So yeah, just those 2 got to be really careful. Those 2 also. Looks like QVR Campbell has gone for a spin at the exit of turn 13. There, those medium tyres just lighted up just a little bit, trying to get the grip in them and the temperature in them. But if damage was on the formation lap, it would definitely got damage, but it's not. So thankfully it was just a little spin. Warm the tyres up a bit though. That is a tactic where you can spin on the formation lap on the mediums and warm them up just a little bit.
Oh yeah, I'm sure if you ask QVR Campbell about it after the race here, he'll say, I'm sure he'll definitely say, it was calculated, just getting that extra heat into the medium tires, getting them set up and ready to go. But yeah, very thankful for him that no damage here on the formation lap, or else he'd be starting the race here in the pit lane, which isn't ideal. You mentioned Ben and Larkin going to have very cold tires, so really not going to be a start they were hoping for, and starting on the last 2 spots on the grid, definitely not going to be helping out their case, especially through Sector 1, when they're probably going to need about as much grip as we can. But when I'm looking at the tire choice here, just speaking of, most drivers seem to have decided to go a little bit longer here on that first stint, put on the medium tires, but Justice, he was feeling those soft tires at the end of the race, so he's going to be rocking them here to start the feature race here. Isaac Kush also on the softs, as our Wouter rotation Dan Jerome in P10 on the softs, and P's as well. So drivers once again to keep an eye out for here on the start of this the actual race here, the feature race I've been calling it. Being on the soft tires, having that grip, we'll see if they can make it work for them here as drivers are just about set and ready to go to start the 25 laps here around Jeddah Street Circuit for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Up to 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off, and we are now racing in Jeddah for real this time. As you can see, a little bit more jostling for positions off the start. Justice hanging on to that P1, but QVR Campbell and Isaac Kush side by side through turn 1 and turn 2. Rotation and Wouter as well, having a little side by side dance here as Isaac Kush getting up into second place, making that grip on the soft tire work for him here as he gets ahead. We've got a yellow flag though here in sector 1. Who is that? That looks to be Killer Blue, who had a little bit of a moment. Didn't quite get to see what happened. Jamie, did you catch that at all?
Keep it out of midfield, mate. Stanley didn't really catch it, but yeah, it's a good start from Justice and QVR Campbell, as expected, to fall down the order just a little bit. And turn 13, looks like Nathan had a bit of a moment there, but further back, Pete has a moment cut out turn 13, but he stays ahead of Carl Menzies. So QVR Campbell then, despite being on those medium compound tyres, only lost 1 place, and luckily for him, he's got a fellow medium runner right behind him, of Nathan, but he's under pressure currently from Walter. You can see these guys making the use of these soft compound tyres effectively immediately as Giroud Vizza from P10 gets past rotation, P10 to P6 already, and he'll be looking to get past these guys of Walter. Walter desperately needs to get past Nathan because he don't want to get his progress provoked behind him, and there's QVR Campbell as well. But just as the other McLaren pulled out 1.1 second on Isaac Kush, Walter made contact with Nathan on the rear left tyre, but they go side by side into the last corner, and Walter should have a better exit on those soft compound tyres, but it's the drag race all the way down as Nathan then has run out of ERS. He exceeded his 1 lap allowance and he restores it, so Giroud has a little bit of an advantage on that straight, but he stays behind Nathan for the time being. Rotation there as well, as Nathan, Walter's next target is QVR Campbell to get past as well. Nathan further behind has got past, or he's fighting with Luke, but Luke stays ahead of Nathan in turn 2, so he didn't get that move succeeded. But further in front, Justice has pulled a 1 second gap over Isaac Kush, and Isaac Kush expectedly pulling out a 1 second gap on QVR Campbell, who's been massively under pressure from Walter, and Nathan under massive pressure from Giroud. These two going at it, as there's Giroud Vizza as we make our way down into turn 13. I know Nathan struggled just a bit in turn 13, but contact been made of Giroud Vizza. He saves the car, got sent to a little bit of a spin there, but thankfully he saved the car. Good car control there from Giroud, and under pressure from Dan Neising. Dan Neising, he backs off because he knows he can't go side by side into turn number 17, so wisely he doesn't want to end up in a crash or anything like that. But Giroud Vizza then making contact, he turned it a little bit too early and made contact with the right front of Nathan's there, who's under pressure for rotation. Rotation had a good start. I think he started at P8 or P7 and now he's up into P6, so rotation doing a fantastic job here as he'll be looking to get past Nathan. Also been on the soft compound tyres as well. And there's Walter side by side with QVR Campbell as he makes his way down the inside of the medium runner, gets past him very nicely as DRS will be enabled next slide. Pease is going side by side. In fact, Dan Nicely gets a really good exit coming out the final corner. Pease tries to go down the inside, but Dan has the momentum coming out around the outside. But there's Giroud then, right behind rotation right behind Nathan, and rotation. He's lost his wheel. Massive contact, and that's definitely a safety car for sure. He's in the middle of the track and lost his wheel. It's a virtual safety car, surprisingly, but yeah, he tries to go down the inside. He clipped the wall. Total Peace did that in another race, but yeah, he clipped the wall and lost his wheel. And I'm not sure if Nathan should have gave him a little bit more space. Was he anticipating to move down the inside? I'm not quite sure, but sadly, Rotation's race has been ended on lap 3, and that's a massive shame because he's making good progress into 6th place there.
Yeah, a huge shame for Rotation as he was having a great start there, and I mean, really needed that confidence booster. But going down the inside, I'll say we didn't quite have the best angle. We had an angle kind of looking down into turn 1. Yeah, at a bit more of a cinematic angle to see the side by side battle, I guess, through turn 1. But it looked like, almost looked like rotation maybe turned in just a little bit too early. I'm not too sure if because they were side by side right behind as well, as already we're back to green flag racing, a quick virtual safety car here, as you can see P's going very wide through that exit, and that allowed Dan to get a nice little run, getting ahead. Is that going to be Carmentelis following suit? Yes, it is, as DRS is, I mean, unsurprisingly very much activated. P's, though, just a little bit of a sitting duck there on those soft tires, so I'm not too sure if he has any wing damage that he might have sustained as well, maybe with that incident, and I think that is the case. Not visible on the car, but diving into the pit lane goes Pease, as he's going to have to climb his way back up the field here once he does get that wing change. So going to have essentially a near perfect race, and maybe hope for a little bit of luck here. But I mean, at the front, Justice has extended his advantage to about 2 seconds here between himself and he's at Kush. Wouter trying to chase down, but 1.1 second gap. He's going to have to close up just a little bit more, and now feeling a little bit of pressure from QVR Campbell, who's keeping very crucially within that 1 second on those medium tires. So that's going to be very crucial for Campbell to stick with that top 3. You don't want to fall out, or he might find himself being a little bit of a sitting duck to the likes of Nathan behind, as well as Jerome Visser and Dan, who are trying to close up, use those soft tires to their advantage here. You can already see Jerome had some pace right off the bat here, but he's gonna have to find just a little bit more here. Does have DRS, but Nathan has as well. QVR Campbell, though, closing right up to Wouter. Is he going to try to go for a move? No, not quite into the penultimate, into the final corner, I should say, excuse me. But maybe if he can get a run here with DRS down the start-finish straight, but you can see the acceleration Wouter has with those soft tires on the exact slow-speed corner. Just QVR Campbell unable to close up enough to get the overtake done into turn 1. So it's going to positions are going to remain unchanged here as we start lap 5. Still early days here in this race, but I mean, Justice looking to be in a decent amount of control here in these early stages with those soft tires. But we've got a yellow flag here, and that's Jamie. Jamie 1 out of this race, and that's going to bring out a full caution safety car here, as Killer Blue being forced to slow down. Where is Jamie? Oh, it looks like he might have just hit the wall there. On the exit of turn 4 going into turn 5, maybe missing his line a little bit there, but for Jamie 1, unfortunately, that's the end of his Grand Prix, as that's going to bring out the first full caution safety car. And I was talking about maybe a little bit of help from that Tease was going to need. Well, he got it fairly quickly here, as he's going to be able to catch right back up to this field here on that fresh set of medium tires that he just put on.
Right, so I expect the soft runners to come in the pit lane and put on a brand new set of the medium compound tyres. There's a lot of medium runners out there, so that if they are going to pit in this lap, they've got a lot of work to do to try and overtake those medium starters. But I was about to mention the fuel situation. I didn't mention it, but I noticed about a few people on the field of cars, such as Justice. Wouter was one of them, Nathan was one of them, the other Nathan was one of them, Javu Vizza is one of them, still one of them with the yellow fuel symbol. So they're on the field of the car, and I bet they're glad the safety cars came out, because their fuel problems will go away, because you're on the throttle about majority of the track around here. So yeah, it's quite flat out as well, so I think they're happy that the safety cars came out so they can save a bit more fuel. And you can see then everyone on the medium compound tyres except Larkin. He's got on the hard compound tyres, so he'll be struggling just a little bit at the safety car restart. Maybe a few laps after it as well. The tyres just need to be fully warmed up and in the right conditions to get the best out of them. The hard compound tyres not really a most favourable choice in this game. It's usually the soft and medium strategy, but let's see how his hard stint will pay off. But yeah, you can see that Rocco behind on the soft compound tyres with Nathan. They've gone for the soft, so that could be a two-star strategy for the likes of Killer Blue, Luke, Nathan and Rocco on those softs. Let's see if it is. I don't think they can go about 80 laps. Maybe they can, but they'll drop off dramatically. And let's see that Javu Vizza, Justice, our former race leader, in P5, right behind the top 4. So got a lot of work to do to try and get past the top 4. Had his lead has been wiped out, so he's got a lot of work to do because he's got the guys right behind. And now we've seen this multiple occasions where you can see new tyres mixing in with the old tyres. It can all go wrong. You can be really patient and wise to pick off your overtaking opportunities, because if you go for it too early or if you're a bit too aggressive with the other drivers, it's very easy to make contact with the older tyres. So you've got to be really careful, and you can't afford to make mistakes, especially when you've been leading the race and dominated ever since then. But yeah, P5 Justice got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, and I mean, Justice, he's shown a lot of pace here around Jeddah, so that is an advantage to him. But a lot of the pace we've seen was on the soft tires, so we'll see if he can carry some of that with those yellow-walled medium compound tires that I know even around this track here. Sometimes you'll have a lot of pace on one tire, maybe not as much on another tire, which could also be on that same thought. Maybe why XL Larkin decided to put on a set of hard tires. Maybe he's feeling comfortable, but as I say that, both he, Nathan JB, and Rocco, as well as Luke, all diving into the pit lane here for another pit stop. I think what they decided to do is something we've seen in the past here with safety cars in Division 1. Drivers making that compound switch, using up those essentially abiding the regulations. They'll do one lap under the safety car on that alternate tire compound, and then go right back to what is the ideal tire compound to be on. And they've already done their mandatory pit stop. They've used the two compounds, and they can just have a free choice for the rest of the race. And I mean, that appears to be exactly what they've done, as they're all back out on the medium tires. So not any more tire difference that we're going to see from the safety car restart. Everybody on the medium tires, just the top 4 staying out on that strategy here with the mediums. Campbell, Nathan, Carmentalist, and Ben benefiting here, but they are still going to have to pit. I think everybody else, though, in theory, it's going to be difficult, but they might just be able to make it to the end of the race, although the tires might not be too happy with them by the end of it here. But we'll see how it's all going to play out. Of course, they're going to have to keep it clean, which, as we've seen, is a lot easier said than done, especially when you're battling, especially when you're pushing here around this track with not too much margin for error. But lap 7, let's see, the grid is all bunched up. Are we going to go back to racing? Fingers crossed. Yes, we will. Safety car is going to be coming in at the end of this lap, so QVR Campbell becomes the de facto safety car leader, slowing up the field, getting that final little bit of heat in those tires. Question is, when will he decide to get the jump on, and will the likes of Nathan, Carmentalist, everybody behind, will they be able to figure out this jump? Let's see. On board now with QVR as he takes that a little bit of a wide line, gets on the power, and it looks like he is going to be going now. It looks like, I mean, Justice right up on the back in P5 of Ben, so he saw that, he predicted that start. But it looks like it's going to be a relatively clean safety car restart here. Drivers going single file into the first few corners. Nobody really catching anybody napping here in the start. But you can see Justice close behind Ben. Is he maybe not through Sector 1, but maybe Sector 2 through the high speed if he can get the jump, use those fresher tires to his advantage. You can see closing right up behind on that Alpine, using a little bit of battery now. Is he maybe going to try down the inside? It's going to be close. Switches over to the outside. Good. What was that? Oh, Jerome right behind. Oh no!
Oh, Javoon Fizzer, so that inside curb, you're not supposed to touch it because it'll upset the car, but he managed to save it, but sadly he clipped into Isa Kush and there's nothing Isa Kush could do about it. So yeah, racing incident, and Javoon Fizzer sadly falls down into last place. It was a good move down the inside, but he took way too much inside curb, and it's downhill obviously, so it just upset the car and spun him, so he's down in P15 started for him. But Yeah, so Isa Kush then, Ben JS defended the inside, not letting Isa Kush Justice go, and now Justice will have another chance in the last corner if he can make it. Ben JS is 1 second behind Carmenza, so he's out the DRS range of them, and let's see then, can Justice get a really good exit coming out of the final corner, try to set him up as he's using the EFs immediately, gets a really good exit, and he will slipstream him all the way down his straight, pulls out to the right hand side. Now Isa Kush has to follow through if he wants to try and get a chance of taking the lead away. Ben JS is still fighting though with Justice. Bit of contact made into turn 1 and a little bit into turn 2, but Justice makes the move. Ben JS does not keep up and he's in P6. Now Isa Kush then is in the worst possible place because he's right behind him in sector 1. He wants to get past him as quickly as he can, but he can't do that in sector 1 of course unless he makes a mistake as Ben JS. But Ben JS doesn't look too comfortable in the first sector, so it might bring an advantage towards Isa Kush. And let's see that he's right behind him. Can he get a good exit out of turn 11 and turn 12 using the ERS? There's no DRS of course, so let's see then as make our way down his turn 13. Not close enough. This is a chance for Justice to pull away because he's about 8 tenths away from Ben JS, and Ben JS then comes out turn 13 with Isa Kush right behind him, followed by Walter and Dan Neising and Nathan just further behind as well in P9. He needs to start catching him as well on those medium compound tyres, and Pease gets past Rocco as well. Rocco goes off the track, so I'm not quite sure if he just missed the corner by himself. There was contact being made, but Isa Kush then is still right behind Ben JS. He needs to get past him where Justice did it. Can he get a good exit coming out of these two corners? Yes, he does. The overspeed he has and pulls out to the right hand side, and he should make this overtake. How hard will Ben JS fight this? Because he can compromise these guys' race here. Isa Kush gets past, and now Walter's turn to try and get past. Around the outside he goes into the last corner. He can get a really good exit, make sure he squeezes into one, which he doesn't do. Ben JS stays in front of the time being. Good by Ben JS to stay in front because he's handled the pressure really well. He's fighting these guys very cleanly and fairly as well, and hard. And there comes Walter then. Will he go around the outside? Yes, he will. We'll have the inside line for the next corner, but Ben JS will have the outside line. He gets a much better exit as Ben JS, so he's still there, not giving up whatsoever, so respect there. But one of them has to back out. Who is it going to be? And it's going to be nobody. They continue this fight all the way down into turn 4, but eventually Ben JS has to back out, and Walter goes up into P4, P5, or P6 actually, behind Isa Kush. Now it's Dan's Neising and Nathan's turn to try and get past, along with Pease as well. They're right behind him. DRS is enabled, I believe, so it should be easier. Where's Justice? He is right behind Carmenza, and there goes Dan Neising. Danny inside in his banking. Whipsaw, don't get on that curve there because it's very easy to spin the car. He does do, but manages to keep it well, and Ben JS then stays ahead. Oh, yeah. Dan Neising.
Yeah, Ben. Ben handling the pressure very well, as you said, keeping Izat and Walter behind for as long as they could. Walter did have to extend just a little bit turn 4 to get the move done, but as neither one of the two were willing to back out of that corner. Sorry, I thought you saw something there. Clued in afterwards. But here, speaking of seeing something, Justice and Carmentalis were alongside one another. Both had DRS, but Justice, I think, has a little bit more overspeed, getting ahead of Carmentalis, puts himself back up into a podium position. Meanwhile, back to Ben. Oh, Ben and Nathan JB making contact. Nathan JB out of this race. A big accident here, as that's going to bring out a full caution safety car. It looked like Nathan was trying to go around the outside of the final corner. Of course, here on essentially last year's track map, where they haven't extended that final corner just a little bit, like we saw last week in the real life Grand Prix. A little bit of contact made, and from there, I think Nathan just lost control of the car. The car got shot around back to the other side, I think taking Ben with them, and then from there, well, the rest is history as we saw on stream. But that's another full caution safety car out here. So far it's the second safety car here. QVR Campbell. Let's see if these medium tire runners are going to be taking a pit stop here on lap 11. But I'm sure maybe not what they were hoping for here up at the front. This is essentially going to just bunch the field right back up again. But we'll see how it all plays out. But very unfortunate for Nathan JB, as that's the end of his Grand Prix.
Oh, that's turned things around. These medium runners will go on the soft compound tyres, of course. But like I said at the start of the session, midway through the session, there'll be 2 safety cars. That's what I predicted. I've got 2 safety cars already on lap 11, so I predicted that. Maybe a little bit more safety cars. Still got a long way to go, of course, but yeah, that's a shame for Nathan JB. Just lost traction there, trying to get ahead of BenJS, bounced into BenJS, then bounced into the wall, and I think Prix was there for good measure as well, just couldn't avoid it, but Nathan eventually ghosted, and into the pit lane, as you expect, QVR Campbell, relentless Nathan, and relentless car mentalist, but Nathan, so that's a confusing one. Nathan, I was aboard with him, he didn't even speed in the pit lane. I think he crossed the white line, and that classed him as speed in the pit lane. He did that to Prix as well. On the, I don't know if it's a sprint race or this race, he just managed to get rid of the penalty with the pit stop, but that's a massive shame for Nathan there. That was an undeserved 5 second because he didn't speed in the pit lane. I was on board with him, so yeah, that's a massive shame for just the game glitches or something like that.
Yeah, I think it is a glitch here in the game. I think I do remember. I think it was last season I actually dealt with that. I got that similar issue. Couldn't do much about it because I had to take another pit stop anyway, so served it then. But really unfortunate for Nathan, as he's gonna have that to work with. If he does finish the race with it, might be able to report that and see if the stewards can get that removed. For Prix, unfortunately, since he did serve it in the pits, I don't think the stewards will be able to do much about it. But I think it is a known bug or a known glitch here on this track. Not too sure why it works the way it does, but it's, I guess it is the case nonetheless. What was that?
Codemasters.
Yeah, just Codemasters things, I guess, is the way to go about it. But an interesting call here. I mean, everybody from P6 down, all on the soft tires. Top 5 decided to stay out on their mediums as they're gonna stick to their strategy to go to the end of the race. We'll see if that's going to work out for them. I mean, for the softs, it's going to be difficult to take them to the end. I don't think tire wear is overly high here around this track. But I think near the end of it, it's going to be tough on those soft tire runners. So I think for those who stayed out in the mediums, they might struggle a little bit early on with the pace the soft tire runners are going to have. But barring any other incidents, any other safety cars that come out, I do still think that those who are on the mediums are still going to have that advantage. I mean, XL Larkin, though, I think he's thinking a little bit differently as he's taking a pit stop here. Jerome also pitting, so it looks like Larkin going on the softs, Jerome going on another set of soft tires here. So an interesting call. It looks like a lot of drivers thinking that the soft tires are the way to go. I guess we'll have to see how it's all going to play out once we do head back to green flag racing.
The soft compound tires, they have a whole load of softs and mediums due to it being a new session, so they've got a whole lot to play with if they want to. But the pendulum looks like it's swung towards QVR, Cowboy, Nathan, and the rest of them downwards because the second stage cars really helped them to minimise that medium stint and go on the soft compound tires. I don't think, judging from previous experience, tyre wear is a huge tyre wear is high around here. Tyre wear is very good around here, in fact, so those soft compound tyres can go towards the end, but they can make use of them now and try and catch these medium runners. There's 4 of them ahead of QVR Campbell. The pendulum is swung towards them, rather than the pendulum swung towards Justice, Isa Kush and Wild. Looks like they had the early advantage with that first safety car, benefited from going from soft to medium. Now, the second safety car, the guys behind benefited from mediums to softs, the ones who started the medium tyres, of course. So, yeah, it can work either way. So, like I said, the safety car can make somebody's day or ruin somebody's day in dramatic fashion as well. So, we'll see towards the end of this race how it all pans out. Can QVR Campbell win this race? Nathan has a 5-second time penalty on his name, but he can get that removed because there's quite evidently that he didn't speed in the pit lane. So, yeah, he has a chance to win in this race along with Comments. This Comments has picked up a podium this season too, but sadly a post-race penalty has dropped him down. But the safety car is coming in this lap, so it's very interesting to see. Justin will lead the way. Justin then won't be comfortable like he was in the first stint because he's got a soft one as well behind him. So let's see how much of a gap he can pull ahead of Isa Kush, because he had a massive gap on Isa Kush before the first safety car. Can he do it again? Try to extend that gap. And how hard will Isa Kush, Walter? I think can Walter do his teammate a massive favour, because in the Imola race, it was the other way around where Walter was fighting with Prix, Giroud and Nathan, and his teammate did a massive favour by staying at 1 lap extra. So could he repay the favour here in Saudi Arabia? All the way, and you can see QVR Campbell just tapped the back of Dan Neising and got out of shape. So there he goes then on the straight. Walter's right behind Isa Kush. But Dan's going to be under massive pressure from QVR Campbell and Nathan. Here comes QVR Campbell then. Going around the outside into turn number 1, now turn 2. Should have better traction with those soft compound tyres. And there goes Nathan as well. Nathan makes the move on Dan Neising. Loses 2 places in 1, does Dan, but can't do anything about it, of course, but on the medium compound tyres. Now there's Carl Menzies all over the back of him. So, yeah, QVR Campbell then, crucially making those moves.
Yeah, and I mean, looking at the safety car restart, Justice decided he wanted to go very early on the restart, which, I mean, worked out to the benefit of him. Izat and Wouter were aware of it, but I think further behind, especially Dan, we saw, I think was caught a little napping, not expecting the restart to come so quickly, but Dan really struggling, heading the wrong direction, down in 7th, under pressure from Ben, and he's essentially being eaten alive by these soft tire runners. Already 3 getting ahead, and we might see a little bit more to go. QVR Campbell, meanwhile, starting to put a little bit of pressure on Wouter to get up into that podium. Nathan still decently behind, but about a half a second. He's going to have to close up a little bit more here, using a little bit of that battery. But on board with QVR Campbell now. Is he not going to have DRS to help him out here? But as he's heading towards the final corner, is he going to have enough overspeed on the brakes down the inside? It looks like he will get the overtake done, taking that shorter line. What can Wouter do to try to battle back? It doesn't look like he's going to have much in terms of pace. Maybe really hoping for that DRS to help him out there. But QVR Campbell is setting a fastest lap of the Grand Prix, just showing his pace that he has on those soft tires. So he is out for, I mean, he's out to try to capture these leaders. He's out to try to build that gap here, use those soft tires to his advantage. Already behind Isaac Kush now through Sector 1. Going to be difficult to get the move done, but can he get the run here, heading to that ever so tricky left-handed, I guess I could call it a hairpin, more of a spoon-type corner. Won't get the move done there, but still right up behind Nathan, meanwhile, in 4th, putting a lot of pressure on Wouter. So a couple battles here on track, but Isaac Kush taking a 3-second time penalty. That's not going to help him here, especially with the grid as bunched up as it is in this case. If it stays that way, he might see himself lose a couple positions after having benefited from that during that sprint race that we saw earlier here this session. But QVR Campbell under pressure now, right up on the back of Izat. We saw is once again going to go down the inside. Can he make it 2 for 2 here? Izat still fighting around the outside line, and you can see Nathan and Wouter side by side as well through that final corner. But QVR Campbell getting ahead. Nathan now, can he find a way to get past Izat? Not quite, as I think Izat wanted to fight back on QVR Campbell, but just couldn't get it done. Did not have enough speed going into turn 1. So QVR Campbell in 2nd, Izat in 3rd, Nathan now in 4th. As just from as pressure from 1 was lost from Izat, he's going to find pressure from another driver here of Nathan, who got ahead of Wouter in a very similar fashion. So those soft tires really working, really paying dividends for some of these runners here under the safety car restart.
Yeah, a few laps ago, Ben JS was on the defence, now he's on the attack on those soft compound tyres. P's Total and Javoon Vizza are going side by side. P's Total stays ahead of Javoon in turn 13. They try to go side by side. I think P's at the inside line, Javoon at the outside, and P's just managed to take the racing line. Dan Neising picks up 83-second time penalty, so sadly for him, his race is going back to where he's got Luke right behind him as well, for good measure, and the fellow soft one is right behind, so he could be under massive pressure. But back in the front there, you can see QVR Campbell right behind Justice. Where will he go for it? Will he go for the last corner like he did on the previous 2? Or will he wait this time? He turns the DRS off, so I presume he's going to go for it down at turn 1. So you can see that he's a good exit as P's Total gets past Luke for P9. Carl Menzies trying to go down the inside of Wouter, and a bit of contact made, and I think they get squeezed as well, and a bit more contact further behind with Isaac Kush and Nathan, but QVR Campbell will pull to the right hand side now and get past Justice for P1, so that's inevitable going at turn 1 there, and Nathan then getting it past Isaac Kush and Carl Menzies as well, staying ahead. I think someone's dropped further behind, I think contact was made as well.
Yeah,
Javoon.
that was sorry?
Javoon's dropped down into... No, it's not Javoon. I thought somebody dropped down, but I did see somebody make contact in the final 2 corners. I think it was Wouter. Oh, it's Wouter.
Yeah,
that's
it was
the driver
Wouter
who's been dropped down. I wonder who dropped down, because I thought it was somebody, but I couldn't quite tell you who it was.
Yeah, it was through that side-by-side battle as we were watching. I think Campbell and Justice exchanging positions there. I think it might have been Carmentalus that was there. It's just they were alongside. Welter was on the outside. Just got squeezed. A little bit similar to what we saw with Nathan JB, but not with as bad of a consequence there, but a little bit of wing damage there, making contact with that wall, and that was a very easy call to dive into the pit stop from Wouter. But meanwhile, Jerome now going alongside of Dan. Can he get the overtake done into this corner? He's got the outside line, turns into the inside. A nice move from the Red Bull driver as he goes up into P8 as he's continuing his charge up the field now. Dan on those mediums. Once again, as I said before, a little bit of a sitting duck now, as he's still trying to close up on Jeroen, but he's going to start feeling the pressure, I think, from Luke, who's right behind. Meanwhile, Carmentalist getting ahead of Isaac Kush, both with the DRS, but those soft tires are proving to be the difference maker here in this stage of the race. And I think I saw that purple track map might have been a fastest lap there for Carmentalist as well, with the pace he's had on those on those softs, I should say. But up into P4, trying to keep up with Nathan as they're closing up to Justice, who is trying to hold off on those medium tires, but it's going to be a very difficult task here with about 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. QVR Campbell, though, he's leading the way. He's going to try to build a gap, use those soft tires to his advantage. He's had a little bit more than half a second. Can he maybe build a little bit more over the course of the next lap or two before or get caught or risk getting caught in that DRS train and keeping Justice and the rest of the field close by? We'll see how it all plays out as Justice feeling a little bit of pressure from Nathan, but Carmentalus right behind as he wants a little bit of a piece of that pie as well as they're approaching the final corner now. All have DRS though, so essentially nullifies the effects of it. Pease, meanwhile, getting ahead of Ben. He's going to be around the outside, though. It's going to be close. Always a little nervous being around the outside of that final corner, but they make it work. And it looks like Pease does get ahead of Ben for that P6. And Jeroen, meanwhile, now alongside as he gets ahead, and he makes a move on Pease as well. A double overtake from Jeroen Visser on the Red Bull, as now that opens the door for Ben. Maybe if he can get a run. No, not quite. Pease hangs on to that P7, but a nice little heads-up play from Jeroen, making the move on Ben, and very quickly using that overspeed to his advantage to get past Pease as well into turn 1. He finds himself in P6, and I think licking his chops now, seeing Isaac Kush on the medium tires ahead of him in P5.
Giroud's had pace around this track. We could see him still get a podium or potential win. It's not off the cards for Giroud for he had a dismal sprint race, which summed up his feature race, but there's still 6 laps to go here, so let's see what he could do from P6. He's got a medium runner of Isaac Kush, who sadly for him has just picked up a 3-second penalty. While that was going on, the same lap, Nathan got past Justice. Bit of wheel banging into turn 1 and turn 2, being very aggressive, but nevertheless it's hard but fair racing from the two. And Nathan getting past Justice did what he had to do, and now he's on the back of QVR Campbell. And you can see Giroud Visser now, he's right at the back of Isaac Kush, in fact, overtaking him at the start of the DRS zone. So yeah, Giroud Visser up into P5, let's see what he can do. Can Peace Total follow behind? No, he's too far back to make any sort of impression, but the top 4 then, all in close range of each other. It's going to be very interesting what happens down the straight. Justice though, on the medium compound tyres, you can see QVR Carmentalus is right behind Justice. When he go for a move down into turn 1, you can see Justice use the ERS, try and close on Nathan. Nathan's derated on the straight, and I don't think he'll go for it, but Peace Total right behind. Isaac Kush just outbroke himself into turn 1, gets a bad exit through turn 2, and Peace Total doing the switchback on Isaac Kush, gets past him for P6. So textbook move there to put your driver under pressure, make him outbreak himself, and take the position away. So good move there for Peace. But yeah, Isaac Kush on the medium compound tyres, so to be fair to him, it was a bit difficult being on those mediums against softs. He tried everything he could, but sadly for him, it didn't quite go the way he would have wanted it for. But yeah, I think Carmentalus said right behind Justice. Don't think he'll go for it here, he's way too far back, but Carmentalus can get his second podium of the season like he did. Where was it? It wasn't Spain, was it? No, Austria? I'm not quite sure it was. No, it was Imola. It was Imola when we had all that chaos going on. So can he get his second podium of the season? We'll find out. He's right behind Justice, of course. Nathan has that 5-second time penalty. If you've just tuned in, you might get that 5-second time penalty removed because he didn't speed in the pit lane. It was the game glitching out. So yeah, that's not a realistic penalty for Nathan. For those who just tuned in, but Justice is right behind him. Still got some pace on those medium compound tyres, it must be said. He's still sticking in there. Nathan looks like he's just struggling a little bit on those softs. He's derating and he's lagging as well. Oh! Did you see that?
Yep. Oh, I held my breath there just a little bit, but hang on a minute.
Did he spin?
Yeah.
Did he spin? Has he spun?
It looks like, yeah, he's way up in the wall there. Now getting back on track. I think he did spin. It was hard to see what happened with the I guess with the lag. He's gonna be staying out, so I don't think there was any contact. I think maybe just an unforced error from Nathan. But maybe, I mean, maybe he'll be able to shed some light after the race there, what actually happened. But it looked like Nathan fell behind, jumped ahead, and then all of a sudden just, I mean, fell down the ladder here of the grid. But I mean, for Justice, a little bit of a gift for him here in that sense, as he's back up into second, but still under pressure from Carmentalist, and Jerome now very much so involved with this as well. And you know, he's on a mission here. He wants to make up for those lost positions, both in the sprint qualifying and the race up until now. That earlier mistake that we saw at the beginning of the race, Wouter, meanwhile, taking a 3-second time penalty, as ever since that contact with the wall he had on that a couple laps ago, just really off the pace. He's just trying to damage limitation as much as he can. But you can see Justice under pressure. They all have DRS here, trying to chase down Campbell. But Carmentalist, he's gonna stick behind, I think, as no, Justice is gonna try to get ahead of Campbell. Carmentalist is right behind Jerome as well. This is going to be a little bit of a battle going into turn 1, I think. How the position's going to look. You can see how close Carmentalist is. There goes Justice to the inside. Carmentalist just has nowhere to go. Jerome, though, he takes advantage and goes up into P3. Is he going to try to stick it around the outside of QVR Campbell? Not quite. So it's only going to be one position gain for Jerome. But you can see Carmentalist, he's trying to get right back. But, I mean, from Justice down to Peace for a while there, you could probably throw a blanket over these 5 cars and cover them all here. Would not recommend, but something you could do with how close they are. But Justice on lap 22 out of 25 leads the Grand Prix, finding a little bit of pace here on those mediums. And it's something you got to ask here, and I was mentioning it a little bit. Are these soft tires starting to lose that peak performance? But what happened to Ben here? He's taking some wing damage, and that's a virtual safety car here on lap 22, which is going to allow me to, I guess, catch my breath just a little bit here. I think Justice, maybe Justice, QVR, Campbell, Jerome, they might be able to take a little bit of a breather as well here with the virtual safety car before getting right back to it. But Justice looking to have a little bit of pace now on those mediums. I'm sure DRS is helping. Maybe the soft tires, like I was saying, losing. I mean, falling out of that peak performance range, still having pace, but maybe not as much as we've seen just a couple laps ago when they were just absolutely flying and overtaking. I mean, without even needing to think twice about it.
One thing that scares me is DRS now enabled as they go back to racing speed. Is QVR Campbell going to go for it? No, he doesn't even open the DRS. He wants to stay behind, probably go for it for the last possible moment. But one thing that scares me down at turn number, the last corner, is that, but JS is retired in the pit lane. Sad for him. Oh yeah, he's lost his front wing. Could have called it a day, but yeah, one thing that scares me is that once they're all together, like, let's say for example now, on the previous lap, when people are backing out of DRS range, I'm not blaming them because I would have done the same thing, but when people back out of DRS, you got to be careful that you don't make contact with the guy behind, because the other guy will carry a lot more speed and won't anticipate it. Might will, but might have late reactions, it might hit the back of you, so you got to be really careful not to do that as well. Don't brake, but don't, lift off, but don't brake too hard, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely does make sense. It looks like, I mean, we've had a couple close calls, I guess, but I think, I mean, it's part of the game here in Jeddah. I'm sure most of these drivers here probably have seen the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and I guess more specifically I'll call them shenanigans
Who
between
hasn't?
hang on, there goes Jerome on QVR Campbell. Hold that thought in me as Jerome getting ahead down the inside as he gets up into P2 under contact. Oh, and QVR Campbell hits the wall and connects to the wall again. Definitely damage on that car, I would think. So that might be, unfortunately, the end of the opportunity for QVR Campbell, as he and Jerome Visser were caught in a battle. But meanwhile, Pease, Carmentelis, and Jerome, they're still battling it out here. We'll keep an eye on Campbell. I think he's going to have to take a pit stop, though, and so Isaac Kush swinging that car around on the mediums, maybe not too happy with his strategy there. But there goes Jerome alongside of Carmentelis, trying to stick down the inside was Carmentelis here for turn 2. And there goes Pease, I think, hoping for a run. Is he going to be able to make a move? No, not quite. Difficult to overtake here in Sector 1. So I think we've got a little bit of a breather, but one driver who's really enjoying all this battling happening behind is Justice.
No.
What happened to Carmentelis?
He picked up a 3-second time penalty.
Oh no!
Oh no! Oh, that's a massive shame. But yeah, 24 laps without picking up a penalty is well, fantastic around here. But obviously, very hard to keep within the track limits around here as you go full speed. So that's a massive shame for Carmentelis. But guys behind have got 2-second time penalties as well. He might have dropped down behind Pease. If Pease himself has had a dismal race, but he finds himself in P4. Because he's had a bit in a few instances himself, but yeah, he's right behind Carmentelis. He could have a chance of winning this race along with Javoon and Justice. He just needs to get past Carmentelis. He's right behind him, of course, so let's see if he can get a better race, which he does do. But Carmentelis will have DRS on Javoon as well, so it'll be a DRS race all the way down into the last corner. Carmentelis will be using that DRS, hoping and praying that Pease picks up a penalty as well. As Pease then, will he go down the inside? Yes, he will. Down into the final corner they go. Pease having the inside line, and Carmentelis is still there on the outside. Carmentelis gets a good exit as well, but it's going to be a drag race all the way down to the finish line. And Javu then takes the lead of the last lap. Justice is there in P2. Pease will get past Carmentelis unless Carmentelis can find a way past. No, he can't. So Carmentelis is demoted into P4. Total P's in P3. But Javoon Visser from P10. It looked like it could be an unlikely victory from the first stage car when he dropped all the way down into last place. But somehow this driver has managed to find a way to just claw his way back to the field. Like you said, anything could happen. In that sprint race, you saw Justice go from P17 to P1. Now, Javoon Visser from P10 to P1. Also being in last place as well in the first or second safety car, finds himself in P1. The safety cars really help as well, make or break somebody's race. He's just done a fantastic job. Him himself wouldn't have believed that he'd be finding himself in P1. Bit of a controversial moment between him and QVR Campbell. I think it was just a race incident because Javoon Visser did go very wide through 24-25, and QVR Campbell was just there. But
Sure.
Javoon Visser though has just done a fantastic job overall, planning his moves. I was not expecting that. I thought Justice had the race because of these medium compact tyres, might have been better than the softs, but yeah, Justice is too far away now. Despite having the DRS, there's nothing they could do other than settle for second place. Unless Javoon makes a mistake, which he doesn't do, of course, because he's too professional not to do that. But Javoon Visser then, what a fantastic race. Dismal sprint race after making contact with comments. This is right behind Pease. Can he out-drag him towards the line? If he gets a better exit, which he doesn't do, better sloppy exit there. But Javoon Visser will come across the line to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Just as a P2, Pease in P3, comments list in P4. And Nathan picks up that 5-second time, but drops him down into P7. But what a race. Larkin in P4. We didn't mention much of him, but he's found himself into P4. What a good race from him so far. So yeah, anything could happen in this race. Issa Kush PA selling for him on those medium compound tyres. But a shout out to Justice though. Didn't really drop despite having the soft runners right around him. He did a fantastic job. I think he'll be happy but frustrated at the same time. P1 in the sprint, P2 in the actual race, but I think he'll be feeling happy despite what happened, the consequences as well, and the safety cars. But yeah, anything can happen around Jeddah, and that's just proven to be a fantastic race. So many battles around this track. This track never disappoints.
No, it never does. And I mean, we saw sprint qualifying, like you were saying, Justice from 17th, last on the grid, up to P1 in 13 laps. And Jerome Visser here in the feature race from from 10th down to last there in the first after the first few laps, climbing his way back up and taking the victory there. We'll see what that incident, if it's reported, what the stewards are going to have to say about it. So we'll see how that's going to play out. But still, a fantastic drive nonetheless. And even for Justice, maybe not as happy with the way the safety cars played out there. But I mean, that's racing, but still a solid result there, P2 for him, and I think it was it Pease, I think, getting that final podium position. Yes, it was. There you go, confirmed. From 12th on the grid up to 3rd for Pease. So a solid drive from him there, and I mean, even XL Larkin, we didn't speak much about him at all, but made his strategy work there, and from 17th on the grid, benefiting, I think, from penalties of drivers ahead of him, jumping all the way up to P4, so a solid haul of points for the Ferrari driver there at the end of the day, with the Carmentalist rounding out the top 5 there. But, I mean, what a race. Jeddah, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, like you said, really doesn't seem to disappoint, and, I mean, definitely did not disappoint here this afternoon. It was a fantastic race. I mean, tons of great drives. It's going to be difficult even to find the driver of the week here for Division 1 alone with how great these drives were. But we'll see if we can get maybe some driver reactions there from the podium.
Unlucky to Kvyat Campbell there. What could he have done if the contact wasn't made? Could he have won the race? Could he have been on the podium? Podium for sure. He had no penalties, I believe, but yeah, it's a massive shame for Kvyat Campbell. Had some good pace on the soft compound tyres, of course, and looked like he was going to win the race, but Justice fought back as well. Amazing drive for Justice on the medium compound tyres, because I know many people, especially me, if I was surrounded by soft ones, there'd be under massive pressure, making mistakes left, right, centre, but Justice being calm as ever, doing a fantastic job, and maintaining that pressure and keeping calm and composed and fighting back with those soft. He did a fantastic job on those medium compound tyres, and yeah, I think he's one of my drivers today, along with Javun. And Pease as well didn't have the best of race himself, because I remember him getting from wind damage earlier on in the race and dropping all the way down the pecking order, but find himself a P3. That just proves that anything could happen around here in Jeddah. You don't have a specific race winner, do you?
Yeah, that's the thing. So we'll see if I can. Apologies that you're going to be seeing that blue screen. We'll try to get the invite sent off for the post-race interview. See if we can get some thoughts here. So bear with me just a little bit. Oh, all right. Yeah, it was great to have you in the booth as well. Thank you for joining me here, and helping me take through this. This fantastic race that we had. Oh, I had it open here. It looks like we're going to be in Portugal next week, so it's going to be the Portuguese Grand Prix. So that's really going to be exciting. I think it's our first time here at ISRL around Portimao. So we'll see. I guess we'll have to see next week what the drivers have in store. Perfect. Yep. All right. Let's see it. Bear with me, ladies and gentlemen. Shouldn't be too long here. There we go. The other two already have the invite, so I'll give it just a little bit before we round things off for real. But very, very exciting Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Like we said, some fantastic drives all around. It was great to watch, and I do hope you all enjoyed the race as much as I did, and I'm sure as much as Jamie did, taking you through it here. But that was the end of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It was very exciting. I think the Portuguese Grand Prix at Portimao, that one's going to be exciting as well. A little bit of a roller coaster of a track with the elevation. Brings a challenge of its own there. But we'll see how that's all going to play out next week. The sprint race this week, though, did not disappoint one bit here. I mean, it was great in Coda. It was great here around Jeddah, and I mean, our last sprint race is the penultimate race in Belgium in Spa, so that's going to be a fantastic one as well. So we'll see how that's going to play out. So let's take a quick peek and see. Doesn't look like the drivers are jumping in for the post-race interviews. Probably too busy celebrating with the champagne. So we'll round off the stream here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for watching. That'll do it here for us here this afternoon, this evening, depending on where you are. But we'll be back same time, same place for the Portuguese Grand Prix round 9. But until then, on behalf of myself and everybody here at ISRL Esports, I want to say thank you so much for watching and have yourselves a fantastic evening.